Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. About here, the ThrashMetalGuru. I'm not really going to get into a really big, giant rant of a discussion, but really wanted to address something that's been going on for the past 2 days, which is regarding a new issue on YouTube's terms of service. Now, take it alone, some channels have been affected by this sort of change in terms of service, which there are certain strict guidelines which kind of go into often resulting as in certain type of content isn't ad-friendly. If your content isn't ad-friendly to those standards, then your video gets unmonetized, which means you will receive no monetization for it, being that it's unfriendly for viewers. Now let's take it alone. There was some good examples from other YouTubers that did make this. Now, I am going to be going a little bit into like some subplots here in some way. I like to call it a subplot, but it's a little bit off tangent, but it has a bit of a connection to it. On the other hand, we had other YouTubers addressing this sort of issue. McJuggernuggets is actually another example I can give. But before I continue on that, I also wanted to address that, the disdain and the disliking I had for McJuggernuggets is gone. I've kind of moved on from that sort of stuff, and I think, just let bygones be bygones, and, just let him run this channel the way he does, and it's pretty much all there is to it. But he did make a good, excellent point that when YouTube decides that they're trying to regulate television itself, become like regular TV where you can't say certain things, it becomes very ridiculous. Now, from another side of the coin, I can understand a little bit in some aspect of what YouTube is trying to do, despite the fact being it big business. They're trying to cut down on things like harassment, very, very graphic materials, depending on how it's used, by the way, or the use of content of drugs. Now, but you got to think about this on the other side of the standpoint of how other channels would be affected if this sort of thing grows more out of control. Now, granted alone, like I said, I do understand if something like these things are abused, like harassment, the usage of drugs, extremism and violence, I can understand that. But there's the other side as well that I too want to address that relates. So if you had something like a drug use material, what about documentaries? Wouldn't those be affected as well if it was showing drugs or showing the after effects of what the drug can do? Or what about violence? Violence is pretty much what you see in a lot of videos, whether it be comedic violence or actual violence. But, there's a lot of different ways you can cut this in many different forms. So you can't really kind of just mix everything together and just say it's not ad-friendly appropriate. I mean, violence is technically in cartoons and other stuff like that, and there's really no cutting down on something that really has different aspects or different ways to cut off from any type of standpoint when it comes to violence as well. But the one that I find the most insulting about this entire thing that YouTube is doing is that now they're trying to censor foul language. Now again, I understand the harassment thing is one thing, but foul language in general is just way beyond acceptable, which is why that I've decided that these are the things that I'm going to say. But before I do, let's just also go back that a lot of my videos on my channel have a lot of cursing in it. So I would be extraordinarily upset and furious and enraged to find if my whole YouTube channel had been demonetized by something that really shouldn't even be any of YouTube's business, despite the fact that they are a corporation. I know that for a fact they are a corporation, they can do whatever the hell they want, but they need to also learn their own place as well, is that if it wasn't for the content creators that created such content, YouTube would not be making this amount of money from the people that create it. Even people like myself, even though I come from a low-end part of YouTube that only makes, about maybe $1 or $2 here or there, I'm still technically making money for YouTube. And so if big channels get affected by this sort of outrage, or by this sort of this mindless act of catering to SJWs in this sort of way, then this affects small channels as well, and this becomes a very frightening aspect of what people would have to go through. And no one wants to have to go through to be squeezed to death to have YouTube milk a system so much. It was bad enough we had SOPA, and it was bad enough we had the stupid content ID system. But now YouTube itself is trying to go down another path to censor out people for their own sake of business. It's just like my rant with Konami. It's the same thing. They only care about their business. They don't care about us. They don't care about their content creators. And the angry Angry Joe Show even said in his own quote is that YouTube itself is nothing more than a shadowy corporation. To me, they're shady. They really have no idea how to run, their own corporation. And I do apologize, my notifications did go off. But let me just put this in the aspect right here of what YouTube itself, YouTube, or the company of YouTube. I have exactly 7 words for you. 7 words that are going to surprise you. Here we go, the 7 words. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. There you go. I just cursed the 7 words that you shouldn't say on TV, radio, or whatnot. So you're going to take my channel, you're going to demonetize my video because I say these 7 words that they happen to be foul language and such. YouTube does not understand how their money is truly being made, and they really like to take this advantage and abuse that system on people. And not only that, not only are they catering to SJWs, but they're also let me say this one more time without screwing up. They are also censoring freedom of speech. That is one of the main concerns. That is one of my biggest concerns about this sort of thing. And yes, my secondary concern is monetization, because monetization is not really much important to my channel than it is to free speech. Because without free speech, to what I want to address on my channel, when it comes to topics such as, war, abuse, and that's another thing. You can't talk about political, war, anything that relates to that matter, or natural disasters. Now, the exploitation thing, I truly understand about that. Go after those people. Go after the people that abuse the system. But don't punish the people that have done so much and thrived so much, doing the hard work that they have done, doing the stuff that they have with a passion, building the foundation of their YouTube channels to make your money so they can make money for them. This is nothing more from YouTube than an act of greed and catering to SJWs because they feel so offended by so many things that they see, which they can't get over. But the one thing YouTube will never actually truly get rid of is free speech. Sure, they may have probably limited down possibly on YouTube, but they gotta also think about it. There are other websites that do contribute in supporting free speech. So YouTube really needs to learn its place and really needs to get its head out of its own ass, because the more that they keep shoving this stuff down our throats, the more they're just going to lose business from other YouTubers. Now, sure, some videos had gotten a great appeal back, and they actually got their videos back. But not all YouTubers were lucky. The Juggernuggets was one of these as an example. And so I'm just saying this to convey this. If there's any way we can fight back against YouTube, the corporate itself, if there's any other way, feel free to let me know. Any projects that we can do or something like that, or if there's anyone using any collaborations to send them to YouTube, feel free to let me or others know, because this is something that really needs to be addressed, and this is something that, this abuse cannot go on. And this is basically all I have to say. So right before I go, I just wanted to make it completely clear that this is my subject matter on YouTube, so I'm going to say this one last time. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits, YouTube. Get your head out of your ass and start listening to people. Quit catering to people that feel so offended by other stuff, and go after the people that abuse the system, because I've seen many videos, and I've seen technically 7 this week that have gone way beyond the lengths of violating YouTube's terms of service, and you let them get away with it, but yet you punish people for doing what they do and doing what they love. So, food for thought right there, YouTube. Quit being such a hypocrite, quit catering to SJWs, and do your job. So that's all I have today. This is ThrashMetalGuru. Have a good day. And if I get my videos demonetized, not a problem. I'll just take my business elsewhere. Have a good day, people.